of a tour in the old city of Jerusalem. It is Hanok Young. Uh, you guys are having some quite a time over there right now, aren't you?
If it's not one thing, it's another. It is seemingly all hell is breaking loose on the Harabayit, on the Temple Mount. The last 2 days have not been a fun time guiding in the old city. People do tend to get scared when they see the border police all in their gear. There is a funny element to our security. As I mentioned in a previous broadcast, we have young soldiers from combat units. So these are male,
Mhm.
young men from, and then I stress from combat units. So, these aren't the guys that drive the trucks. These aren't the guys that, make the matzo pizzas or anything like that. And they're patrolling with women border police. Now, the women border police here in Israel, they're all young women.
Scary
They're
young women.
hardcore. They're
Oh,
hardcore. But basically, they're not a lot taller than Elizabeth Connor. I mean, really,
yeah.
they're, and these young guys are these big, tall guys. And it's the women border police that are giving them instructions because soldiers don't know how to patrol in an
Mhm.
urban environment. That's not what they do.
Mhm.
They're not police officers. So it's really kind of funny in that sense. But
I
what's
would I
going
would
on?
be much more scared of the women border police though than I've seen I've seen what
Absolutely.
some of them have done.
Yeah, they are definitely hardcore.
Mhm.
Um, the Arabs have been rioting daily on the Temple Mount. By the way, when the terms are used like defiling El Aqsa, what that means is there has been a Jew that has walked on the Temple Mount, not into the Al Aqsa Mosque, not into the Dome of the Rock, but the very fact that a Jew steps on the Temple Mount anywhere, the Temple Mount, which is the size of 17 football fields,
Mhm.
anywhere on it, defiles it because of our dirty feet, filthy feet, we being the descendants of pigs and monkeys. This is the level of discourse. 2 days ago, they stoned buses going to the
Mhm.
area of the Western Wall.
Mhm.
One of the guides from the Kotel tunnels that I know was injured and hospitalized.
Well,
This is serious stuff. Our police have been doing the best job that they can. And needless to say, everyone, that puny king Abdullah of Jordan is like, we should go and slap him silly, man. Really. We should take his little country, which belongs to us anyway, and just send him out. Um, Vote for Hanoch for change.
yeah.
Um, so now we did have rockets fired from Gaza, ostensibly from Islamic Jihad. Hamas, for whatever reason, right now doesn't want to get into a full-blown operation.
Hmm.
Remember, May 2021, 4,500 rockets
Yeah.
in 11 days. So the situation is really kind of, let's just say, in flux.
Yeah.
On the positive note, if anyone listening remembers those days in the Jewish quarter where it was nearly impossible to walk because there were so many people, that's happening right now.
Wow.
Israel is inundated with peeps. Again, it's just after Easter. And for those of you who are wondering if Hanoch knew, yes, the Greek Orthodox Easter is coming up this coming week.
That's true. True. Yeah, they were talking about that
Meanwhile,
in Ukraine.
meanwhile, it's Pesach. So there, Jews from all over the world which is good news and bad news. I'll get to the guiding stuff in a minute,
Okay.
you know, but so it's very encouraging. It's I was guiding a group today. This is the All Day Jerusalem, where I take them to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. And the church is still not terribly busy. And I was actually able to take them in and show them all the different elements. And some of them wanted to buy some Christian items. So there's one shop through friends that I've grown to know and trust that they won't rip people off in the Christian Quarter.
Mhm.
And I took them there, and the first thing the guy said to me is he grabbed me by both my arms and he said, "It's been so long, I almost forgot what you look like."
Wow.
So, we tour guides feel that, like, wow, for 2 years we were starving. All of those places that have
Yeah.
depended upon tourists.
Yeah.
Now, so today's group, I also took, this is not part of the tour, but I had all these extra hours to kill. Long story. I took them to Udi.
Oh,
Now, these are day tourists, so they don't know me, I don't know them. And he was, as he always is, the most gracious. Anyone that, he gave everyone a print. And by the way, I'm whispering to everyone, he's the worst Jewish businessman in the entire state of Israel.
yes, most
But
definitely.
so, it doesn't dawn on some people to like buy a print for all of like $7. Make a long story short. So a few people bought some of these things that he's recently made. He's asked them to sign their name on the back, and then he makes a design around it. It is so, and he's talking about what it was like in June 67 and all it just, for me, it was a selfish moment because it was a little piece of the Connect to Israel experience in my day.
Yeah.
And that was priceless. I am counting the minutes till October 31st till our group arrives. That is not a guiding experience for me.
Yeah.
Connect is an extension of why I am on this earth, why Hashem has blessed me to bring me here to Israel. And it's not just to make you crazy, Mike. I know you're thinking that, but it's not just to do that. So things are, in that sense, looking up in Israel.
Good.
The government situation has gone from bad to worse because the joint list, not the joint list, the Muslim party that is part of the government has frozen their cooperation in protest of what's going on the Temple Mount.
Wow.
Now, it's astounding to me, but in any case, I know that you'll be here soon, Mike. Okay, not soon enough. We both can agree on that. And I hope that those who are listening, who are coming with us this year, are getting excited. This would be the time to go out and start hiking, get a good pair of shoes, start hiking. Don't walk, hike. Why do I say that? Because the American idea of walking, is to park your car a little further in the Walmart lot and walk in. That's not walking.
Yeah.
Not walking.
And I just had someone that messaged me just a little while ago from Canada, by the way, that they're looking at coming. No, we don't do forced marches kind of thing. No. There are some days of quite a bit of walking, but we're pretty easy on people, I think, overall. And there's places that people can stop and rest along the way. But it is one of those things. And I can tell you, after being with a number of people this past Passover and Shabbat that are going to be on the tour, there's a lot of excitement that is building to be there. So we're so looking forward to it.
Can you see
I'm
my
still,
goosebumps?
Huh? Yeah, yeah, I
What you
see,
said?
I see,
You
yeah.
said-
So I'm still kind of, I'm still looking into the possibility. I'm kind of waiting until after the Pesach season gets over to see what other plans I might have to do. But Hanok, I have something to announce to you that it's going to be out this weekend on my Living Torah broadcast. But you probably don't realize this, that I and Kamala Harris have something in common.
Is it that you like Psagot wine?
It's that we both had Saigot wine for Passover.
What a faux pas on the part of the White House for President Harris. Oh, excuse me, Vice President Harris. You know, I
Yeah,
figure if Joe Biden can make the mistake, I can too.
yeah. Did,
Somebody talk about like product placement, wine from Judea and Samaria. Oh, lions and tigers and bears. Oh my.
I mean,
Wonderful.
Yaakov Berg could not have spent enough money to get that kind of advertising as a bottle of Saigot wine with the award-winning medallion on it, sitting in front, right in the middle of the table. And I see that Peace Now and the ultra leftist American Jews for Nothing groups are going absolutely, I mean, well, let's just consider this. They look like a bunch of sprayed roaches. That's how crazy they are.
It's fabulous.
Yeah.
It's fabulous. And in the United Arab Emirates, Dubai, and all these fancy pants places, remember the wine they're serving in the restaurants is from Tura,
Yeah.
the very winery that we're going to.
Yeah.
What other tour starts their first stop one morning by starting the day with wine tasting? I mean,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah. And I just have to, you've got to, we got to figure out how to do it. We're going to try to add, this is just for the people that are going now. Now for the people that are going to be joining us in November, I want you to turn your computer off for just a moment, because I'm going to tell Hanok something. Okay, everybody. Yeah, okay, for those that aren't going to be there, we're going to try to add a Saigot winery stop if possible.
We've spoken about that in the past, and I think my middle name, by the way, is flexibility.
Yes, of course.
I really, and I tried it yesterday with a group of tourists, and okay, there are many times the issue of American Jewry comes up, and neither you nor I have very much nice things to say.
Mm-hmm.
And I could go on a rant and a tirade, and that would be another broadcast, and it's not fun. But the idea is, let me phrase it for people who want to come to Israel. You need to experience and adapt to Israel. Israel and its vision and our society does not adapt to you.
Mm-hmm.
I know that may not make a lot of sense to people, but when you think about it, you need to come to Israel with an open mind and an open heart.
Yeah.
And then I won't say any other bad things at all about people.
Okay. I'm watching as I'm seeing that thousands are marching on Homesh.
Yes.
I hope I pronounced that right. What's going
Yes,
on in these so-called settlements, which they called Saigot a settlement? My response to that is, yeah, they've settled it very well. I've been there for the pruning. I was there for the harvest. I was actually there one year. The first year I was there was for a pruning, and it snowed in Saigot area, in the whole Judea Samaria area that year. And I mean, it was like 3 or 4 inches of snow. And one of these great memories I have is we were walking to the vineyards, and a bunch of Jewish children decided that they wanted to instigate a snowball fight. Now, anybody that knows Hayavel pruners knows that, you throw the first snowball, it's game on. And
That's
it
right.
was
We're
it was
done.
absolutely amazing. So these so-called settlements. So what's happening? Why specifically Homesh?
Because Chomesh was one of the areas that the previous government, the Netanyahu government, had destroyed. And it's become a symbol. Now, the thing that's amazing is there was essentially a building freeze during all the 12 years of the reign of King Bibi the First. But for some reason, he got a free pass. Now everyone is saying, Naftali Bennett, build, build, build. Well, the problem is we've got the screws coming from this side from the Americans. It's interesting. Jews can be slaughtered, but Blinken, I've been thinking's got something else on his mind.
Mm-hmm.
It's a real mess. It's a real mess. The hope and prayer is that we will continue or begin again the expansion of Jewish communities throughout Judea and Samaria. And that's what things are being worked on right now. But right now, we've got bigger issues. We've got bigger issues with the Temple Mount. We've got bigger issues with Jews being attacked across the country.
Not just across the country, across the world.
Yeah,
The
that's true.
the attacks on Jewish people all over the world is rising. But let's face it, look, violence in the world is rising. As it says in the of Hamas, the word is violence. We see the violence is rising all over the world against Jews and against everybody. Where this is going, well, we'll just have to figure it out as we go. Now, I saw something that during the time of Ramadan, or as the news media puts everything, the holy is the holy Quran, the holy month of Ramadan, just stupidity on steroids. That Israel actually kind of went a little lax on security issues, and that allowed for these rocks to be brought up there on the Temple Mount. Is that true?
You froze. I didn't hear. All I heard was the stupidity, the Temple Mount. Is that true?
Okay. So I heard that they had been a little lax on some of the security, and that's why all these rocks got up there on the Temple Mount. They were brought up there. They were planned. Is that true?
Okay. I didn't hear the part of the question. This is all planned. All of these, they had brought up stones, they had brought up fireworks, they stored it, and they run back into Al-Aqsa Mosque and they fire this. They were throwing stones to reach down to the worshipers at the Kotel. And remember, we had Birkat Kohanim, the priestly blessing. It's done in 2 shifts, a kind of COVID thing, yesterday and tomorrow. So, it's okay to attack Jews, but, when our police go in and do something about it, and there is no Arab leader in Israel or outside that is willing to say, okay, let me digress for a second. Chris Rock, who has taught the world how to take a slap, at least, did a video a couple of years ago, how to avoid getting beat down by the police if you're stopped, for a traffic stop. And he gave some, it was a joke, but it was all like, keep your hands on the wheel, be polite. Yes, officer, would you like to see my license and registration, please? But if you get out, it's like It's like that the guy in Beit Lechem in Bethlehem that was asking me, why does Israel keep shooting people? Well, you run at us with a knife, we're going to take you out. I mean, duh. But this is all planned. They're all paid, whether the money's coming directly from Hamas, whether it's coming from Turkey, whether it's coming from Iran. This is all staged. It's all orchestrated.
So it begs the question. Okay, I'm looking at an article, a headline that says that the UAE has summoned the Israeli ambassador over Temple Mount violence. Wait a minute. I thought the Abrahamic Accords and the reaching out of UAE to wineries and all these places and having their own professional golf tour and all, I thought this meant that they had walked away from their violent roots.
Generally, yes. This thing with the UAE is really one of showing that they're one of the boys kind of thing. Nothing will come out of that. It won't damage any of the relationships, because the relationship that we have with United Arab Emirates is two-pronged. It's business and Iran. Mm-hmm. Those are the two things. How Israel is going to handle this current situation, I honestly don't know. Because whatever we do, we lose.
Yeah.
Now, meanwhile, the world, this is what the world is focused on. And meanwhile, thousands upon thousands are being killed in Ukraine every single day. The independent nation of Ukraine is being pulled apart piece by piece. They're finding more bodies wherever they look. And there's, everyone who thought that this was going to be a couple of days of, violence, this is a serious war.
Well, I can tell you, I know that you have the media from Israel, which is totally different than it is here, but it's really kind of a secondary thing for most media outlets now.
Yeah.
The big news was the one judge in Florida that said nobody's going to have to wear masks on planes anymore. That even something like that overrides what's going on in Ukraine, what's going on in Israel. I don't even know if there was any reporting on what was happening on the Temple Mount. I sure didn't see much. But I don't watch a lot of the news. I watch Israeli news and stuff. But it's just that stuff that's going over there. America is so self-centered right now on the price of gasoline and the price of food that everything else is kind of distraction off of that.
You and I have had this conversation countless times. How when things were going good in the US, this whole fire of Judah and Ephraim, reconciliation, going to Israel, it's like with a chicken in every pot and two cars in every garage, America doesn't think that way. Mm-hmm. Now, when gas prices are what they are in the US, people are losing their minds. And, it's not going to be that long when it will be summer in America and people will want to go on trips. And it's going to be a big issue. But let me switch to something. On Pesach, in the Haggadah. Now, I realize that many of our listeners are unfamiliar with the text of the Haggadah because so many people in the Hebrew roots Messianic world use various versions of it, and they do not use the traditional Jewish one that we use. But in it, it tells us that in every generation, there has been people that have risen up to destroy us. And that's exactly what's going on now. Mm-hmm. This thing with Hamas is that, and now they're libeling Israel, saying that Israel is planning to divide the Temple Mount into separate Jewish and Muslim areas and allow prayers at different times, like we have in Hebron at Marat HaMachpelah, the Cave of the Patriarchs. Trust me on this one. No one in Israel is considering doing that. The time to have done that would have been June 1967.
Hmm.
That ship has long since sailed. By July 67, that was gone. That was no longer an option. So no one is thinking that, but they get to say whatever they want to libel us. It's amazing.
Hmm.
It's amazing. It's like, the last time I had that group in Beit Lechem, Bethlehem, by the way, that gorgeous olive wood temple, it was only 10. Okay, so forget, I knew that would be way out of my price range, and I don't have any place in my little place here to put it. But there was one about this big, Samson pushing the pillars down on the Philistines. Okay, that's only $2,000. So I think I'm going to do a GoFundMe campaign. I don't think I'll get any money, but I need to support the Christians of Beit Lechem. So that's why it falls to me. It's like, when are you Israelis going to bring in tourists?
Yeah.
Well, when they come.
Yeah, what you're talking about of there is in every generation is something that is for many people. I know I can speak for a lot of Passovers with Messianic Hebrew roots people.
Yeah.
I think I'd probably speak for to a lot of Reform Judaism with Passovers. That Passover is what I've called passed over. It's like it's all about the past, and the present is, well, we see things happening, but it's not really a reality of anything that has anything to do with Scripture, and it sure isn't about the future, because that Temple Mount thing, that's really irrelevant to us. But see, Passover is to me, Passover is about something that is, yes, it's about what happened, what is happening, and what is happening. It's about us moving forward in this cycle toward the kingdom. And if our Passover is not that, then it's just something, it's like, yes, I do have something in common with Kamala Harris, that we both had Saigot wine at Passover. But let me tell you, she wasn't concerned at all, and has never, I don't believe, has ever had a waking moment thinking about the kingdom to come.
No. Now, what you're describing within the traditional text of the Haggadah, that's what it's about.
Mm-hmm.
It's telling the story. It's putting yourself back as if we were there and it was happening to us. You're engaging the children to look for the future. Now, that's the traditional text of the Haggadah. You mentioned Reform Jews. Pesach has become this thing in America for every festival of freedom, among leftist Jews, every, oppressed or underrepresented minority in the world.
Oh, yeah.
It has taken it from its Jewish roots. So I don't even, I never speak of Reform Jews, because like people say, well, the Reformed Jewish halakha, there is no halakha. There is no study. There's no involvement. Forget them. They're gone. Amongst the modern Orthodox, I knew I would just have to throw that in. The modern Orthodox American Jews, they are what my teacher, Rav Kahana, would call, or did call, practitioners of Jewish folklore. And I found that in a group that I had to guide. I guided for someone else. It was their group of modern Orthodox American Jews who I took to the Temple Institute. This was on my initiative. And they absolutely hated every moment of it. Because unlike us Israeli Jews, who are focused on the rebuilding of the land, the restoration of the Beit HaMikdash, the temple. I mean, seriously, think about it. What role would American Jews have, and what would their Judaism be once the temple is reestablished here? Once there are the, Aliyot Regel, the pilgrimage festivals. I mean, seriously. So, but anyway, that's a rag on American Jews, and
Hmm.
I shouldn't go there, but I'm always, I feel like Al Pacino. Every time I try to, claw out, they just drag me back in. Come on, Hanoch, criticize them. They're too seriously.
Well,
Seriously. Yesterday was one of the worst experiences I have ever had as a licensed Israeli tour guide. The inability and the unwillingness to have self-discipline, to actually listen to a guide who knows what he's talking about. And they were all whiny because the day before they had climbed Ein Gedi and they had climbed Har Stone, and I just wanted to slap them.
So you went from the one of the worst experiences to today one of the best experiences.
Yeah, and what was amazing is today was largely Americans in my group, and everything that I said yesterday that bombed, today they absolutely loved. Really, I thought they were going to throw garlands at my feet. It was that, and sweet people who were visiting Israel who asked honest questions.
Wow.
And who were just open to things. It was a pleasure. And
Well,
a heads up, talking about tourists, as of last night, of course, nothing is ever definite, but for 2023, boys and girls, including Connect to Israel 2023, I have 4 tours booked. 4 tours.
wow.
Yeah. Come on. That's right. I'm bad. I know it, and I'm going to show it. Yeah. So really, and what's amazing is when I take these people in the morning for a cup of coffee at Roladine in Mamila, I don't pay for it, of course. They say, "Don't you want coffee?" I said, "I don't drink coffee." "Don't you need the caffeine?" I said, "Seriously, look at me. By the way, I'm almost out of pure energy." I'm like, seriously, I'm gonna have to go into methamphetamine or something.
I know. I have some to ship you, so I'll
That's okay.
we'll
It's
get on
okay.
that.
I'm patient, but it's a cause for optimism, man. Pesach is here.
And for those that are wondering if he's like this on the bus, the answer is yes.
Bless his heart. There
Bless
was
his
a
heart.
woman from South Carolina. She thought, "How do you know all these things?" So I said, "Well, I have to tell you something. The very first time I was in Alabama, and the waitress came over and kind of leaned into me and said, 'So, sugar, what else can I get for you?' She said, 'Oh my God, that's such, yeah. We didn't talk like that in the Bronx, I got to tell you."
No, you didn't.
No,
Or in
show
Modi'in
enough,
do they do that?
show enough.
Okay. Hey, we'll talk to you later. Thanks.
Take care. Bye.